Hear that metronome? That's to keep you in time.
Oh yeah, it's like a click track.
Yeah, I was gonna run the click track through the whole episode this time, just see if we could keep it in 4/4. You know, the whole episode I wanted in 4/4. You know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. Maybe one time we can do iambic pentameter.
Oh, that would be a great episode for all the Shakespeare fans of our program live from the Dutch Hall.
Oh yeah, they'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, lots of our yeah, our Shakespeare demographic is just blowing right up, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I believe
Anyways,
it would
since
be.
you've been gone, like there was none of those smart people listening to the show when you were doing the show. But now that you're gone, I mean, it's
Oh,
really
it's that.
highbrow. Oh yeah,
That
the show's really
I,
turned up.
I believe that. I got to apologize starting now because the whole side of my face is completely frozen right now. I just got back from the dentist,
Oh really?
so I can feel drool coming out of the non-frozen side of my mouth as I'm talking. Yeah,
That's
but top
great.
and bottom both sides. Yeah, so
That's
I
great.
slur
I'm
my
glad.
words. That's why.
I should. That reminds me. I should probably hit record on this just in case we can catch you drooling, and I can just I can just have that footage. You know.
On the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dave, you think you want to try on this this weird night to just muster up a theme song to just try to get us through this? I got a
I'm
slap
gonna try
rattle.
it.
Okay, let's see if we can
Let's
do it.
see. I'll do my part. You do your part. All right.
All right.
I'll count us in. Oh yeah, feels good.
Hey, welcome everybody to
Oh
Live from the
man.
Dutch Hall. We are the greatest podcast ever get started in a pool shed in Pine Grove, Ontario, bar none. Because I believe we have the best band in Canadian late night history, the Nocturnal Emissions, comprised this week of our guest tonight, the man that writes the music for the show. A long time hiatus for this fella that he's been off the program. Normally, this would be a result of a great firing of some sort in dramatic fashion. But tonight, I don't think it's going to go down that way. Ladies and gentlemen, back to the program. Please welcome Dave Charters, everyone. I should say Dave the Rooster Charters. And
Thanks, buddy.
how you
Oh, it's
been,
so good to
man?
be back. I've been not worth a shit to be honest, but it's so good to be back. I feel like I don't know how long it's been since March or whatever it's been when we went into lockdown, and then all kinds of other crazy shit since then. But it's like a part of my life has been missing. So to look at you there back in the shed and see on the video and hear your voice, I know Zoom's not the greatest, but it's awesome. I feel like I'm back. So
Yeah, we decided to go back to self-induced lockdown at the Dutch Hall. It's just because you're getting too close to Christmas, Dave? And I'm just like, I don't want to ruin anyone's
yeah,
Christmas. You know, you invite in one innocent person that is the best of intentions, and all of a sudden you've got grandma in the hospital or something. And
that's right.
I think there's going to be enough sacrifices people are going to have to make this Christmas that I don't want to contribute to any more problems than there needs to be. So we decided to go Zoom calls for a few weeks.
It's a responsible thing to do, Pete. Everybody, we all have loved ones who don't need to get anywhere near this thing, so it's a responsible thing to do, for sure.
This is
So good
my
for you.
this is my big issue. I saw an article the other day, Dave, on the socials or whatever, and it said Hamilton. The article was Hamilton retailers are going to be extending their shopping hours to accommodate shoppers from Toronto and York region where there's a
Are you
lockdown.
fucking kidding me?
That's the so if that is the case, I don't know how much this stuff is just meant to stir people up on social media or whatever, but like they don't restrict movement, so then what's the point of having these regional lockdowns? Because what they're doing is just punishing the businesses in one area and channeling the traffic, i.e. the virus, to the areas that ordinarily wouldn't even have that traffic, you know?
And you know, all those idiots that live in those areas that are in lockdown, the ones that are spreading it, they're not going to stick around at home because their stores are shut down. If Hamilton's open, you know, goddamn well they're going to go there because
Exactly.
they don't give a shit.
Yeah, because they feel fine and they're following all the rules and they're wearing a mask or whatever, you know, because they always feel like, you know, they'd know if they were the one that was transmitting it, you know?
Yeah,
That's
that
the
makes
whole
me.
point is that you don't, you know? That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's so many aggravations in this whole thing. So many aggravations in this whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
But the main thing that I've noticed is just the like the feeling of isolation. Don't you find like even it comes about so easily, even though like when the lockdown happened at first, it was kind of nice, you know, you get some time to think about things and stuff like that. And now it's just like I almost wish they would force us to have another one just to say get it over with. Like we'll do another 6 weeks or something like that, but then we can like have another run of 3 months where there's no shit to deal with. You know what I mean?
Where you can actually get out and see people.
Yeah, like, and then it would start to get bad again. And then everybody would have to do another one, but we'd have like these like cycles that you could just clean it all out again. You know, stop the community
Yeah.
spread. As soon as community spread gets to a certain level or whatever, stop it. You know what I mean?
Shut her down.
Hold on,
It's
Dave. I
tough
gotta shut this off.
I warned him. I warned him before the show. You got that heater shut off? I remember the good old days in the Dutch Hall.
Yeah, you told me to shut that off before the show, and I said I forgot. It used to be so sensitive too. I don't know if it's even going to pick up. It probably, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it on my phone. So
Who cares really? That's the main thing anymore. Is like, I really just don't care. The new setup of this show has just been a bit of it's been kind of like because I feel like I've kind of like get to start again in a lot of ways. And a lot of that's due to my my health. I feel like I got a new start with my health. So I think and so I just feel like with the show too, I would like I'd give it another try. So a bit of it was kind of an homage to the beginning episodes that you and I did, where
yeah,
we would. It was just very simple, and there's not much to it, but it was a good conversation just captured in the hall. And then add little elements of music and add little elements of video, and over time. And I'm just kind of doing a microcosm of the same, you know, like what happened over 6 years. I'm just going to do it over the next year or whatever, just to
yeah,
reintroduce myself to the show.
and see where the arc takes you this time because the ingredients are a little bit different. So you know, it might take you down a maybe a little different path.
Yeah, one thing I find about the program is that it's missing its whipping boy. You know, there's no one to like you know, like that's taking the brunt of my bullshit, you know, on this program.
Yeah,
And I don't know.
I heard the new keyboard player on there, and he sounds real comfortable on there. When I heard him on there a couple times in a row, I thought, you know, maybe this guy's going to take a bit of a beating sometime soon because he deserves it.
Yeah, you're right. I just haven't been able to find my groove with him yet. I just haven't found the right thing to get on Kevin about. You know, I haven't figured it out. He's always been kind of just a nice guy. Yeah. You have been too. I think we should probably. I think this is a good opportunity, Dave, to fess up to our audience. We should probably come out and just admit that not everything that happened on the show was completely true.
Pete,
Like,
I don't know if you want to do this because a lot of people are gonna
be
they're
shocked.
just simply not gonna believe it for one.
Right. Yeah, we do. We did tend to not like. I wouldn't in real life. There are times that I would treat you just as bad or worse in real life. In Nashville, I'm thinking of in particular, where. But you left me out. You left me out to die.
The good has always outweighed the bad. That's the best part of our relationship.
Yeah.
You know, the peaks are always better than the valleys.
Yeah. Usually they don't last long. The brush ups, they don't last long. You know.
No. It's like it's like with the show. It's a reset.
Yeah.
You know, you need to do that once in a while so we don't start playing tummy stick or something.
Hey, do you remember? I was gonna say, let's. I gotta introduce a new I got a new sponsor for the show, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
is it a lucrative sponsor? Does it have anything to do with? Well, why don't you tell me what it is? I can't wait to hear.
Should we save it for the segment that we call feedback? We got feedback, or
Oh, oh my God.
or do we
Oh,
just do it? Let's just let's this is throwing it on you. We didn't even practice this.
I I got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you want to do it.
Okay, let's do it then. We'll get out of the
All
way because
right.
otherwise we'll forget about it.
We got feedback. It's feedback.
It's motherfucking feedback. Welcome, welcome everybody to Feedback. We got feedback. This week's segment is brought to you as always by our friends at Amazon. If you go on our website and do your shopping, blah blah blah, you know what I mean. You can click on the banner. If the banner works, it'll then you can do your shopping and then we get some money. We haven't got much money lately because I think our banner doesn't work. You know what I mean? So then I was like,
Oh,
yeah, and then I started thinking, you know what? I don't think I'm very good at making this podcast into any sort of a business whatsoever. I think I dropped the ball like completely on most things I try with this thing. So then I go, so I got a couple things. I might have enlisted the services of someone to help me with the website part of it, and then I said I'm going to make a concerted effort to go out and get better sponsors and real sponsors, and offer them something and do it all right, like see if I can get a little bit of money for the show or whatever. And I got a honest to God sponsor, a real
oh
sponsor.
shit.
Yes, I'm happy. It's not official
So,
yet as far as our.
somebody local?
No, it's a worldwide company, Dave. It's a worldwide company, and so I wanted to announce a couple things. Number one, we are going to announce that starting shortly, we will be doing a supplement to the Dutch Hall podcast. We'll continue our Thursday night program, but I'll be doing something. I don't know what it's exactly going to be called yet, but it's going to be called something like a mental health break or a Monday morning mental health break, or it's going to be a different break off show to this so that I'm not always talking about those sorts of issues on the show. But I have noticed in the past when I've talked about my mental health struggles that it's resonated with some of our listeners who have reached out to me. So I thought during this time of with the pandemic and Christmas and holiday season and everybody being isolated and that sort of thing, there's a lot of people that are struggling out there. And so I thought we're going to do this podcast called like this little supplementary podcast to give people extra content, and we can just kind of talk about those sorts of issues. And so I'm excited to start that. And I was looking for a sponsor, and I'm happy to announce that I've got an agreement with BetterHelp.com. And BetterHelp.com is a worldwide network of therapists that you can go online and do a Zoom call like me and you are doing right now, Dave, and they can line you up with a mental health professional that's suited to your tailor-made needs because they have such a large network of professionals that they can go get you to one that's going to be best suited to your needs. Everything.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and no matter where you are in the world.
How do you find them? Just Google BetterHelp. How do you get them?
Well, what you're going to do, and this is not live yet. This is why I'm kind of like ahead, putting the cart before the horse. I'm hoping by tomorrow I'll have the link live. But when it is live, you'll go to BetterHelp.com/Dutch Hall, and you go to that code, and you will be able to.
That's where all the best shrinks are.
And then you can get the help you need. And I've heard.
I hope it is. I hope it is working tomorrow because.
You need some, Dave?
Well, there's a lot of people that need something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I might be one of them right now. Yeah.
It's tough, man. And seriously, I've been open. I've started seeing a therapist. I've been seeing him for a few months now. Good dude, and he's given me a lot. It's really been helpful. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I agreed when I started seeing a therapist. I said I'm gonna buy in. Like I'm here to be a good patient. Like I had that mindset when I went in. Like I'm gonna be a good patient. Normally the old Pete would sit there and say, "This sounds like a load of shit," a
Yeah,
bunch
this
of
is kind of the
hooey.
flip side of the coin you're talking about here.
Yeah. So I'm going, this time I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a good patient. I'm going to like just not question. Well, I'll question it. I still question it. And this fellow, what I like about the therapist I have is that he always answers my questions, like it gives me something more to think about. So it's always moving me forward. He's a good match for me. But what was I saying there? I forget. But
Therapists, people need therapists this time of year.
yeah, I just noticed that, but it's really helped me because it's given me tools. I think that I've tried these things. Some of them are just like breathing. Some of them are just like being mindful or grateful. Being present. Simple things that seem like maybe they're a bit of hocus pocus, even almost. But then they are practiced and research principles that have worked for many people, and they've been tried and true, and I've used them. And it's basically what I think worked for me is that when they started changing things to like you got to train your brain like you train your body, and like you got to develop muscle memory. Like to me that resonated with me because I understand muscle memory from sports and from
Yeah. So is it like through repetition, like you have to try and keep doing the same things over and over again until they become comfortable, or
yeah, like reflex.
like reflex? Yeah.
Yeah, you just that's what you do so that when you're not able to use your logical brain to do those things because your amygdala or your like a fight or flight response is kicked in, you're in like a mode where something has caused you to think that you're in danger. You teach yourself these techniques to like slow your breathing and ask yourself, are you safe, and answer your question and do all that stuff. You just keep doing it deliberately every time you feel like a pang of anxiety or a pang of like something like that. And then next thing you know, when the panic or the anxiety or that feeling would come back again, you're automatically doing it without thinking about it. And then you just settle yourself down. And so
It sounds
eventually,
so simple what you're saying to me, but I never would have I've certainly never practiced that, but I can understand how it might work.
it's crazy because then once that gets managed, then everything else is a lot easier to deal with, like because then you can start to be kind of like in your logical thinking brain. Most of the time, things can be easily dealt with if you had no emotions, like a Vulcan or whatever. It would be great
Yeah.
to be like
So
Spock.
you probably start to become more self-aware too, right? Like you start to be more aware of yourself and what how you're feeling and how you're. I had a moment just yesterday actually that I'm not proud of, and in the moment I didn't even know what I was doing, but after I was done, I was like, holy shit, why did I didn't even know why I went off like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of exploded on someone who didn't deserve it.
Yeah, you leave your skin sometimes. Like it's because that shuts off your logical thinking brain and your emotional response kicks in, and whatever that is, it sounds like yours is fight. Like you're gonna do that. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yesterday
attack.
it was.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, I don't even know like I don't know. It's constantly it's ups and downs, and you're constantly working on it, and a certain amount of like people feeling shitty, especially in this time when things are so tough out there. um some of that's normal. Like it's not like you have a problem, you don't. A lot of people probably don't need help, they just feel terrible. but
Yeah.
but if you do feel like you need someone to talk to, it's nice to know that there's places out there. And actually the Ontario government, if you go to, like, for listeners, we have a lot of listeners in Ontario. The Ontario government does have a lot of resources out there, and some of them are free, so that some of them you can get. If the cost is what's preventing you from getting the help you need, like there's resources out there, and you can always reach out to me at livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com, or go on Instagram and Twitter or Facebook and all those things. You reach out to me, and I can point you in the right direction and get you the help you need, or even just be a open ear to you if you need someone to listen to you. I'll be happy to do it. So that's it, and thanks to
Branching out.
BetterHelp.com for partnering with us. I'm pretty excited about that going forward. Should be good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I put my feelers out for sponsors. I've always done it, and then usually it comes up like empty. I've like boner pills, stuff like that. Like I think like you know what, our listeners are getting a little older. Some of those guys got to be a little soft in the pants, eh? Charters,
Yeah,
you can
for
probably
sure
think of
they
a
do.
few.
Anyone who's your age or older, I'm
Yeah,
still good.
you're good till February.
Until I'm as old as you, I'll be good.
Yeah.
Which will be never, because you're older than me.
Oh, you think so? You think that
You'll always be older
you're
than me.
you're trying to tell me that your penis remains erect just with the knowledge, that you are younger than me. That keeps your dick
Yeah,
hard.
that's
That's good.
exactly what I'm telling you.
It's a little weird. I gotta admit, but I am a bit flattered by it. I can't.
I got a question. I got a question for you. This Zoom thing, right? When
Yeah.
you're talking, like I've been trying to get onto the Zoom etiquette because I don't use Zoom mostly. I use like whatever the Microsoft thing is. I can't remember Teams, but it's the same thing. But when someone's talking, you can't talk, right? Because if you talk, now you interrupt their like
I'll
talking.
interrupt right
Like,
now. I talk right now at the same time as me. Go
yeah,
on.
and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
at the same time as you, and I
Hey,
don't know if it's coming through or not. Is it?
it's working actually, but
Are you
sometimes
sure it's working 100%? You stop talking, see, because you're programmed to stop talking when I'm talking. But if
yeah,
we were in
yeah,
the room together, we could both talk
yeah,
over each other a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I
when's somebody going to invite a good call where we can both talk?
The number one, if it's just the two of us, it's a lot. A lot of that is minimized. Like a one-on-one Zoom call, or it's manageable. As soon as you
Oh
get
yeah,
more than that, it's almost impossible. You got to have everybody on mute and stuff, and just turns into awful.
yeah.
I know. I have an opportunity to have cattle on our show. They want to do a Zoom
Oh
call.
yeah. Oh, they
And,
want to do it with Zoom?
yeah, they're super locked down and stuff. They're right in Toronto, and so they've pitched it to me a long time ago, and I'm like, and I really want to have them on because I'm a fan and everything. I actually don't want to screw it up. It's a lot of pressure, right? So,
Mm,
but like, I don't want it to sound like shit. That's the
I
thing.
know.
And
Well, you
then,
and I watched that Gorilla Show on the weekend. That was a live stream. Mind you, they had tons of equipment in there making it work, but I thought the sound was great once the show started, once the concert started.
well, yeah, we should. So I wanted to talk about that. Me and Dave and I have always gone to shows together. Like we've gone to see concerts together. Uh, Actually, not when my kids were young. I used to go see concerts, and I would say, "Are you still doing that? Like, grow up." Do you remember that?
Yeah, a
And
little
then
bit for
th-
a while there.
that was like when you were going to see Wolf Mother. When you saw Wolf Mother like wreck all the like trash the stage and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Because
the Cool House.
yeah, I think I was already too old for all that nonsense. That was
Yeah, you're
my
family
attitude.
man. You're raising a family.
Yeah. Oh my God, Dave, what was wrong with me back then?
I'll
That's a
give you credit though, Pete. It didn't last that long.
I know, but that was the oldest I ever was like 30. Then
Yeah,
I was acting like an old man. Anyways,
yeah.
yeah. Then we got it. Then I got out of my system. I forget what it was that got me back. It was one experience where I was like, "Fuck this, I'm back in again." Do you
Like
remember what?
before Lollapalooza. Before
It
Lollapalooza.
was before Lollapalooza, and then and then that kind of got me to say that yeah, I'm doing this all the time now. Oh no, maybe it was. Maybe I agreed to do Lollapalooza like through gritted teeth because I wanted to go see our friend or whatever, and I thought it'd be a good road trip or whatever. Yeah, we were talking about going to shows. Okay, so maybe I'll be able to find that and like cut that out. But yeah, me and you used to go to shows all the time, and it doesn't matter what got me back into it. But we would go. We became travel companions. We would go to. We ended up traveling to a bunch of shows. We went to Lollapalooza. We went to that Bridge School benefit in California.
Oh yeah, that
Went
was an
to
awesome one.
Shaky Knees in Atlanta. Like
Oh, also great time.
yeah,
Great time with our American friends.
yeah, with the Barbie Mansion girls, it was the best. And then we had so tons of stuff like that. And then if it wasn't for a pandemic, we would have done it again. I'm positive we would have done something again. In
Absolutely.
the time that has passed, we would have figured out some scheme to go do something
We would
awesome.
have to because I start to yearn for it. Like I yearn for it right now. When you
Yeah,
talked earlier about like the pandemic making you go crazy and the lockdown and stuff, it's weird because I was actually in quarantine for 2 weeks before I went in for a procedure there, and I had to live in a room by myself in my bedroom for 2 weeks, and that was a bit much, like being in the one room for 2 weeks. But all in all, just being by myself and just with my immediate family here, I've actually kind of liked it. It's been pretty good. But then there is something missing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm a bit on the opposite end of you. You know, you're a master of industry. You have thousands of people at your beck and call at all times. You know, like
Yeah,
wanting to like.
surrounded by noise constantly.
Yes, there's a so for you to have a solitude. You know, so you're like Superman. You go to Fortress of Solitude because you need to get away from
Yes,
the burdens of the responsibilities of saving the world. You know, being a man.
absolutely.
You know, so then
Preach.
but but me, like I work out of my home. You know, I'm self-employed and self-motivated. Therefore, I'm left to my own devices all the time. You know, for me at first when the pandemic happened and it was just me and my family, that's three more people than I normally get to deal with. It was awesome. I got people. You know, and
Yeah.
then I think this time, like not having the outlet to go do comedy and to go to shows so I can get that human interaction, like so I can get that constant, like even just to drive to the city and see people and be connected to something that's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Outside of like, you know, my day to day mundane bullshit work that everybody's got to do that's not very exciting. That was the stuff that made you worth doing the mundane bullshit because you could go do that other stuff later. You could look forward to it, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you just don't get the payoff. It's just all the there's just all the work and
Yep.
none of the reward. You know, it makes people, I think, overall kind of like analyze what they're doing it for, right? Don't
Oh,
you think?
100%. I know I have been, yeah. 100%.
I think more people have had the time to be um, self-reflective or what do you call it? Where it's like just to be like inner focused. You know, most people are so focused on the task at hand. You know, you go to work, you know that you got to wake up, you got to take a shower, you got to brush your teeth, you got to get in the car, you got to go drive your commute, and then you're in the work day, and then after that you're taking care of the family, and then you're going to bed again, and it's all the same routine over and over every day, and then the odd vacation break or something to reward yourself. But you don't have the
Yeah.
time to really think, you know, what's it all, you know, is it all making me better or making me worse, and what parts are, you know, to sit and reflect and
Yeah.
give it
What's the point of it?
yeah. I don't think people usually even give themselves the time to ask themselves that question, you know.
And then the pandemic hits, and now you got nothing but time.
Yeah, and people are looking at those same people are being cooped up with their families, you know, like luckily for you and I, we see it as a lucky opportunity to spend more time with people we love. But there's a lot of people out there that were cooped up with people that they were like not feeling that same way about, you know. And then
Oh yeah.
they're starting to analyze their marriage, you know. And then some people's marriages were based on things. It's the same way, like, you know what it's like. You got four kids, right? Like
Yeah.
the sometimes with your, you know, your spouse, you're both so busy doing the things you got to do and taking care of the life you've built together, and then you don't think about the two of you, you know, and then
That's right.
or the two of you get endure all the work and burden of the day-to-day handling of the responsibilities of your family, so that you can go to Jamaica or something once a year and reward yourself or something like that. But now you can't reward yourself, you know, or go to you know, maybe you and your wife love going to comedy shows, and now you can't go to comedy shows, or go to concerts together, and you can't go to concerts together. And
That's right.
that was what kept you guys reminded, or go to dinner even. Going out to dinner with your wife, you know?
Something as simple as going out for dinner on a date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to have that hour away from everything to talk to each other. And people just don't have that opportunity, or don't feel as comfortable to do that now. So that's all gone. And then those relationships aren't able to be mended. They just continue to fester, you know? So I think like it's such a multifaceted problem because it's gone on so long, and it's gonna
Yeah,
and we're not even close to being done. You know.
it really is, and that's where like I'm not saying I agree with some of the. It's not like it's whole states, but with there's people that definitely think like just get out there and get on with life, and let the disease happen, and we'll build up our herd immunity faster, and yeah, people will die, but is that maybe that's the lesser evil, than what's happening to people who are cooped up, and enduring all this mental health and the economy's health, all this other stuff that's suffering.
Yeah, but I do think that the way that argument's been framed in the media is that it has to be one or the other, and the two are mutually exclusive of one another. Like, when you could say we need to be safe because of these reasons, and it's going to result in these problems, so we have to address those problems as well. Like we
Right.
can't just address the one problem without addressing the others. And so yeah, they're saying, well, either you do one or you do the other, but like I think both exist. You know,
Yeah, it's kind of typical politics, right?
yeah, they just try to boil it down to such a black and white thing.
Yeah.
Because like everything's like the Serb thing. It's like I watch the news all the time and I don't know why, but the Serb, that the money they gave out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In Canada here.
Yeah, in Canada, Trudeau gave everybody money at the beginning of the pandemic
Yeah.
because they just didn't know everybody, just because everybody's fucked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like a lot of people took it, and now they're saying a lot of people took it that shouldn't, and they're gonna have to start paying it back. That was the one news story. Then the next day, the news story is they're expecting a increase in homelessness if they're asked to pay it back. And so like it goes to these extremes to just make the
Yeah.
story, but it's not. None of it's really, reflective of the whole story. It's just like the
No.
the
And it's
glamour.
almost like the point. It's almost like the point of the story is to polarize the audience. Like,
Yeah,
there's the people who don't give a shit about homelessness and like
yeah,
make them pay it back. Those are my tax dollars.
yeah.
And then there's the
I love
I don't know.
I love how they do that on the news too, where they give those people weight. Like they go out to the on the they used to do this. They go out on the street. I think they still do it. Yeah, they go out on the street and they interview people about something that's going on. Like they're the experts. They're not eyewitnesses. They go
Yeah.
out in the streets and ask them about an issue about politics or something like that, and then these uninformed, emotional jackasses will say the stupidest shit, and then they'll report it like it's news that people
Yep.
think
There you
this.
have it. This is how people think.
This is how people think. This fucking jackass you found is reflective of all people. It's crazy. They used to actually
Yeah.
make people like interview people that were informed, and then people would learn about the issues. But that's when the news was for information, and now the news is for entertainment. It's
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yep. Absolutely.
This is I have a Roku. You know what a Roku is?
Oh, it's like a special kind of TV where you can get like content, like a smart TV thing.
Yeah, it's just like a Amazon Fire Stick or a Apple TV or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like I just use it, but I download apps, right? So I like to watch. I have a trifecta of news that I watch. Like I watch Canadian news, American news, and then world news, right?
World is. Yeah. That
So I
makes
go,
sense.
I go. I think I have I have a CBC news app. I got the global news app for Canada, and I got Al Jazeera for world news, right? That's what I go
Yeah.
to. Anyways, by far the best one's Al Jazeera because it covers the world, like everything. They'll show you the weather in everywhere, even
Oh, really?
yeah, even your
Global weather?
global weather. Yeah, I don't even
Oh,
understand
that's cool.
why, but they do it. And yeah, hell of a storm hitting Fiji, Dave. Hell of a storm hitting Fiji right now. Oh,
What
fucking
is it?
laugh it
Is
up,
it a
chuckle boy.
typhoon?
Laugh
Is
it up. It's a fucking big joke to you, not to the fucking Fijians right now. I'll tell you
I
that.
don't live there.
Yeah, you don't. Anyways, it's I don't know. It's a typhoon or something. I don't know. It's a big storm. It's on their way. You know, right now in Japan. You've been to Japan. I think they're having a big snowstorm there. Eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
In the mountains?
big snowstorm. There you go. Anyways, lots of things going on in the world, but that's not why I don't watch for the weather. I watch for the news. They show you what's going on all over the world, so you see like you can kind of see world patterns. People getting fed up all over the place. You know, like there's people that are protesting their governments all over. There's like huge change going on. There's really momentous historical stuff going on in the world right now, and they're showing it, and it's interesting, and it's important. And the people that are like invested in these issues all over in these countries are doing something that is like something that's never been done before. You know, like it's like revolutionary. You know,
Yeah.
and so it's all this really heavy, weighty stuff. You know, how do you handle all these migrants that are displaced and now trying to be flooding across Europe and stuff like that? You know, like these are like important, heady issues of the time. You know. And then you go to the American news, and it is about their political circus mostly. You know,
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Trump's still trying to say that he didn't lose.
yeah, it's just like a circus, and they're like the big stories are getting missed all around because it's focused on the political circus, and then coronavirus. Of course, they finally have to admit that they might have a problem there. Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So anyways, that's American news. So I usually I'm short on the American news. I'm short on it because I can't handle it very much because it's the same thing over and over again. And there's tons more to talk about. I don't know why they're only talking about like two things all the time.
Because they're entertaining the masses. It's Nickelback, man.
Yeah, and that's what they want to see.
Fucking Nickelback.
Those segments work best. So do them again. And then Canadian news. Canadian news is all coronavirus. And then once they get done with the coronavirus, they go into stolen footage from Entertainment Tonight Canada. Seriously. They show you movie bullshit. I'm not even kidding.
Are you kidding me?
It's like interviews with the movie stars, and this goddamn celeb's got a dog and all this stuff. It's just horseshit. And that's because our country has nothing going on. We don't have anything to talk about. And now we don't even we don't have hockey. So like that's like you took
not even hockey.
And that's what we mostly talked about was hockey. So now people don't even have fucking anything to talk about. It's fucked, man. Don't you think?
Oh, I can't wait for hockey to come back.
But when's it supposed to come back?
January, middle of January, sometime.
Really? They have a date to set
Yeah.
to bring back?
They do, and they changed the divisions all up. I don't know if you've been following it all, but it looks like there's going to be a Canadian division.
Oh, really?
Because of COVID and border crossings and stuff, so it's going to be just the Canadian teams are going to be playing each other. So it'll be pretty cool. We got some good rivalries: Toronto, Montreal, and Edmonton, Calgary. It'll be.
What are there 7 teams in Canada?
Yeah.
7 teams. Yeah, that would be playing each other a lot. Yeah, there'd be some there. Yeah, there'd be like Toronto, Ottawa would be a good one.
Yeah, and Montreal too. Those 3 will be a big rivalry, and then going the other way, you got
Vancouver,
Calgary.
So I bet you Vancouver, Winnipeg,
Edmonton,
Winnipeg really got to get a rivalry going. That's what I think. They got to start. They have to have something bad happen where they really hate each other forever, and then
that's right. Because Edmonton, Calgary's got that
solidified.
They were awesome last year. Yeah.
And Toronto, Montreal is as old as hockey itself. You know that rivalry, and I don't think anybody can deny how real the rivalry between Montreal and Ottawa is as well, because like they're so close.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I guess it's got to burn your ass when you go into your own building and there's like half of the fans are rooting for the other team, you know?
Oh, yeah, in your own building, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, and there will be a lot more of that this year too. And then the other cool dynamic is both Kachuk brothers will be in the same division but on different teams, so they'll be playing against each other all the time.
Oh, that's good.
The one's on Ottawa, and then the other there's the bad one that plays for Calgary with the curly hair.
Bad Kachuk?
Same right now. Yeah, he's the bad Kachuk.
There's a bad Kachuk.
He's the villain. He was the villain last year in that series, Calgary Edmonton series in the regular season.
I love those villains in hockey, but I always like to root for the bad guy. I've been out of hockey for a long time. I don't watch it. I don't watch any sports anymore. But I'm getting back
Yeah.
in. I'm getting back in because of this. I've been offered
Because
to
what
be.
else are you gonna do?
I just got an offer to be in an NBA pool, and I was like, I don't really know that much about basketball anymore. I used to like when I was younger, but I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck? Then I'll follow basketball. Now all of a sudden the basketball games that were boring to me become exciting because I got like a stake in the game. Like
Yeah.
if me and you start a hockey pool for January, like we do a Dutch Hall hockey pool, I'll care about hockey all of a
Yeah, that's
sudden.
right.
Yeah, it makes you like it more, right? Remember the
Yeah,
NASCAR
for
pool we
sure.
did?
Absolutely. We were into it every week.
You wouldn't have cared one bit if you didn't have a team in that thing,
No,
right? Like right now, I don't have a team in the NASCAR pool. First time in a long time. I don't even know if they're racing. I don't even
me
know.
neither.
They're got to be done
Last
now.
time I was at my father-in-law's house, there was a race on, and I recognized maybe 3 names on the whole, like, in the whole race.
Yeah,
There's so many. There's so much turnover, you know.
yeah, and then they'll
Since I
talk about
watched.
they'll be like this grizzled old veteran, is on his last legs of how is this guy going to even creep into his car? Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome for this old coot, Kevin Harvick, and you're like, what? He only
Yeah,
started racing when Earnhardt died, and
yeah.
then
He's
and
a
he's
rookie at one of my pools.
yeah, remember? And like, how long's Earnhardt been dead for? It's got to be 20 years now, right?
I bet you it is. It's got to be.
I
It's got to be.
call I remember when we had a phone call after Dale Earnhardt Sr. died. I was working as a mortgage broker at the mall, in my own
Oh
shitty
yeah, I
life.
remember that. You had the little. It wasn't a kiosk, but you had like one of the little mall store fronts.
Yeah, and in the back of my store, like in my mortgage brokering thing, was overflow shoes from the shoe store next door. Oh, no, overflow books. That's what it was. Cole's bookstore was next
Oh
door,
yeah.
and it was overflow books because I would read. I read. I had nothing to do in that business, so I just I read a lot of biographies.
You became a learned scholar.
Yeah, I learned about Frank Sinatra's. I read Frank Sinatra's biography. I learned that if you want to get your friends drunk, you just buy them lots of drinks, and then you don't drink your drink, and you watch them drink theirs, and then they get real wasted, and then you look like you're like you look like you're this king who can really handle his booze, but really you're just like tricking your friends. That's what I learned from that. That's the only
Oh
book I
yeah.
read. Really,
Frank Sinatra drink you under the table.
yeah, but he didn't. He was a pussy. The guy who really drank on the table is Dean Martin because that guy was an alcoholic. That's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is sad.
Hey, you quit drinking too?
I'm mostly quit drinking. I have a couple beers a week. Like when I'm barbecuing, I'll have one when I'm barbecuing, or if I have a certain meal like pizza, I like to have a beer with my pizza. But
So you're pretty
pretty
much
much
an
done drinking.
alcoholic, yeah.
Yeah, can't stop.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find though that you've cut down on your drinking, or like like you've like made I don't like to say I quit drinking either because like I didn't. Everyone thinks you're an alcoholic when you quit drinking. Like they think you quit drinking because
Oh
you're
yeah,
because you're like
yeah. Why'd you quit?
did you beat your wife? Did you smack?
Yeah,
Did you what was your bottom? I'm like no,
yeah.
I just
Couldn't make it into work.
yeah, it just didn't agree with me anymore. It was just like more trouble than it's worth. But anyways, are you afraid that now that you changed your alcohol consumption kind of like lifestyle that that now let's say and people don't want to hang out with you as much because
Oh yeah. See, that's a really interesting thing, and I won't know until this quarantine thing's done when we start hanging out with people again. But I
I
don't
think
know. And then the
the
other question is, will I want to hang out with them? Will I want to hang out
yes,
with a bunch of drunks?
yes, those are both difficult questions because the first one, will they want to hang out with you? First time, yes. Right out of the chute, those guys are gonna be happy to see Charters. They want to go Chambers back, right?
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
all of a sudden they realize a Chambers was actually just Charters on like 2 bottles of whiskey, you know. And that
Yeah,
when you take that whiskey out of Chambers, he just turns back into plain old Charters. They don't invite you back the second time. I think you'll get the first one, and then they'll come to that realization. They'll be like, "Fuck this guy," you know.
Yeah,
But then you bring up the other important point: no loss. See, if you're enjoying yourself with those drunks, and you can get past the fact that you're sober and they're drunk, then you're gonna have a good time with them. They're gonna invite you back. It's gonna work for both of you. You had fun. They had fun with you. You know. and
yeah,
and
that's right.
so it'll be it's seamless. That's the ideal situation. What's more likely to happen is the opposite, where they're drunk, you're like put off by this behavior that is only fun when you're drunk beside them. I've already been
That's right.
exposed to this, you know.
I
And
was just trying to think like maybe it's like learning a new skill, you know, learning how to like go out and have fun with drunks when you're not drunk. Maybe you just have to learn how to do it. But I don't think so. I think it'll be so annoying. It'll be like once and done, one and done. That's it.
well, I'm willing to pursue this as a social experiment with you if you'd like, Dave. When like as a commitment for post COVID, probably, you know, like let's make it a post COVID thing, but still, I would be willing to go out in the general public, and I already forgot what I was talking about.
It might be better. It might be better if you're with someone. We're gonna go together and not be drunk and hang out with a
Oh,
bunch of
right, right.
drunks. It'll probably be better if you're with someone, like eating mushrooms. Like you're not experiencing it by yourself.
Right.
So if you're with someone else, then you have like a common ground to kind of talk about and make fun of all the drunks.
Exactly. You and I both sober or soberish. Like I'll be on my version of sober, which is a lot of weed, and then
Right.
but I'll be soberish, and then we'll both have the same feeling of ugh to all the
Yeah.
drunken people who are having the time of their life,
Yeah.
eh?
I'm
And
down to try it.
I think we can do it. I think we can spin it. I think we are smart enough that we can find ways to make to make it fun for us, and they won't even know that we're doing it to them. You know what I mean? Think about
Yeah.
it. Think about it like
Oh
that.
yeah.
If
We'll have some great stories.
yeah, yeah, we will, right? But we can, because you can make drunk people do things. You can come up with ideas, and then you don't have the consequences of doing the dumb thing. You can just make them do the dumb thing for you, and then
Yeah.
run away.
It's usually me doing the dumb thing.
Yeah,
Or you.
or me. Yeah, it used to be you, and then it became me. I think. Yeah.
This is good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think we can do it. I think because if you have a wingman in sobriety, it's a lot easier to maneuver amongst those circles and still have a good time. But if you're like on your own, I don't know how people do it. I would be looking for advice because like I can already tell my tolerance for drunks is like gone. Like it's like I don't see the fun in it when I'm not doing it. Isn't it amazing
Yeah.
how fun it is though when you're really drunk though? Like
Oh, it's so fucking fun.
I know. It's great. It's like I sometimes wish I was a bad drinker that it would be easier to give up. But I think I was a pretty decent drinker, you know? Like the blackout drunks was the funnest I've ever had.
You can't wait to hear the stories again and again, like, and then piece it together.
Yeah. I actually, the times that we've had to piece together our nights through pictures has been so fun, you know? Like I still remember when I went on stage with Cake and then no one believed that I did it, even me. I didn't even believe I
Yeah.
did it. It was a brown memory in my head that I think I was on stage. I fell asleep in an Uber. I was like, never I hit the wrong Uber too. They said, "Mike, get up. We're at your house." Mike, who the fuck is Mike? Yeah, I got in Mike's Uber, went to his house.
That's awesome. Wrong side of town, but you didn't have to pay for it.
And I would just walk through the.
It's on Mike's card.
Yeah, poor Mike. Uh, yeah, shout out to Mike, new sponsor of the show, Mike. Anyway, yeah, those are great stories though. Like, I mean, they're terrible. You think about it from your kid's perspective too. Like, think about how worried you'd be as a parent. You know, your kid comes
Oh
back.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I did all this stupid, dangerous stuff, and you're like, but when you do it, it's like it's super fun. You just remember it awesome.
It's always an adventure, man.
That's what I miss the most. That's what I miss the most is the adventures.
Let's bring her back. Let's get this vaccine going. And
Can you have any? Can you have any influence on that? Do you ever think about switching from the manufacturing to just the virus game? You're going into the virus game.
let's get in the virus game. Start flexing.
I think that work. Do you notice in your job? This is I know you don't like to talk about your job on the show, but do you notice you must see it in the industry that there's been more of a more openness for people to work remotely. I think it's in manufacturing. It's not as
Yeah,
big a deal, but
I was going to say this earlier in the show. How when we were talking about Zoom calls, one thing that really has been come out of this pandemic really quickly is like what we're doing right now. This I was kind of hacking on it, but this technology of bringing people together. We've done things at work that we would have never even considered before, bringing like plants together globally or regionally, here in North America, in a live sort of format where people are sharing live what's on their screens and everyone can see it, and like
yeah,
where before we would have had to travel to each individual facility.
yeah.
Now it's absolutely amazing in the last 9 months how far that has pushed us to bring this technology like to
Yeah.
help us out. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I was talking about it with our friend Mark, and he said that he's dealing with that right now, and the company that's really, I mean, companies everywhere. I pitched it at my well at Farm Credit like 10 years ago, that to let me work out of my house, and I would just worry about my targets and don't worry about where I'm doing my work from. And they were like, no way, it's not the way things work, and I'm like, now it's clear, it seems to be the way things are going, but
Yeah,
there's a huge danger with it as well. Like it's efficient as all hell, because most people only do, not I don't know if your industry is probably different, but in most like corporate work, there's people probably do like 2 hours of work a day, and they spend 6 hours fucking around doing all this extra shit, and then plus add the commute on top. Um, and then so you get rid of all that. You can do your 2 hours of work from home, and then still fuck around for six, and be more efficient, as efficient or more efficient, and save the company a ton of money, right? So,
yeah,
but the problem is you become more remote, and you have less real interaction with people, and you get this sort of interaction. But like you said, it's teaching us to talk differently. It's teaching us to listen differently. Like we have a
yeah.
certain amount of like detachment from it. Like there is a void being left from it. You know?
I'll give you an example of part of the void too, Pete, that you're talking about. When as good as the technology is, and we can get together with people in other facilities in real time, when we used to do that and visit the other facilities, there'd be what we did at work, but then there's also like you go out for dinner or you go like have some social event where you're not really working, but what you're doing is building relationships with those people, and that makes the work that you do so much better and much more efficient, and you build that sort of
Trust.
it's trust and friendship, and it makes it all work better. So that's definitely missing with this new type of format.
Yeah. So I think there are the positives are obviously like now I'm anywhere right now. Like who cares? I'm in a pool shed in Pine Grove. I could easily be in anywhere you want, anywhere I want to
You,
say I am.
yeah, the program will switch your background for you to look like anything.
Yeah. So like I mean, it doesn't really. So like right now, then it evens the playing field for a lot of people for a lot of different opportunities. And people, and I know already people are starting to like empty out of the cities, and property values outside the city a few hours is they're going way up because there's so much demand for it from outside. And
Yeah,
so I think that this change is going to happen. And it's just interesting to see what's going to be the spin-off problems from it, or what's going to be needed, to
yeah, or
replace.
spin off businesses, or what? It's the whole world's changing right now.
Yeah, there's
But all
opportunities around every problem, right? So like I always think about what's going to be the next thing that comes
yeah,
up that's going to be the thing that replaces this or solves this, Like work sharing and stuff like that, like having shared office space with other people, even if they're in different um, industries, different companies or whatever. That's probably going to continue to be more of a thing, because there's going to be a certain amount of the population that even though they're encouraged to work from home, they just don't like it.
yeah,
So then they
yeah.
just
They want to have a certain space and a certain environment
yeah, away
to
from their
help
home.
them. Yeah,
Yeah. So then I could see them still wanting to go have a shared office space with somebody else. But so that maybe will be one thing, and the rest of it's going to be just a lot of, probably like a lot of jerk off robots and VR,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
for all the people working at home. But then there's also all the people who are crafting products and manufacturing who pretty much have to be at the job, like at the job site, where there's a lot of work that can't be done from home, I guess.
Yeah,
But a lot of that's being automated too. So
yeah. That's what they say. It's going into a industrialized world, right? So it could be just be universal. Like that's something that we can't even wrap our heads around. Really, we're so wired like to think of it in terms of living in an industrialized world, right? So it's all about production and more and more and more. But I'll give that to the machines. And now the role of people is different. Now universal income becomes more of a thing, and now all of a sudden people's value gets more determined by the things they can do. They're intrinsically human, like the things that a machine can't do. Now all of a sudden the arts become way more important than math and science because you can't replicate that. Oh, yeah. So I wanted to say, before I already forgot. Number one, we never even finished feedback, but the one thing that was nice, Ella Steppa Jones. You know Ella Steppa Jones?
Oh, Ella Steppa? Yeah.
Yeah. She sent an
email. Went to high school with her.
She's getting right back to into the show, and she's one of many people who love that episode. My Wife is a Lizard, where it was just me and Mike Bowe. A lot of people. That was one of the most commented on episodes I've done in some time. People really liked it. I think it was the church songs. We sang a bunch of church songs in there, and
church songs were a big hit for sure. Yeah,
they liked them. Yeah, people like them. You know what I like about your nativity set? Your nativity set?
What?
You know how you're a staunch Catholic, and
I do.
And you know how you have a nativity set in your house to honor the birth of your Christ and Savior? You know? You got it at Costco.
Yeah.
Costco.
I do know.
That yes. I think about that in this nativity set every year because it burns my ass about nativity.
Does that keep you awake at night?
It does. Because you know how much bullshit. I read the Bible, and I watched the program too about Bible history because I really liked. And you know how they talk about Jesus going to the, or not Jesus, but Joseph and Mary going to the inn. You know, they go to the inn, and there's no room in the inn.
Yeah.
And then they go.
Yeah, so they have to go to the
stable. Or whatever.
Yeah, they go to the stable, and Jesus is born in a manger.
Yeah, in a stable, right? Which is so they make it look like they go to the friggin' Holiday Inn, and then Joseph's at the front desk with his donkey, and they're like saying, "Sorry, it's all full" or whatever. That's not the way it is, And you gotta go sleep out in a barn, That's how it goes down in the storybooks, But that's not how it is. It was that your my nativity scene that I have in my house. It reflects that. It looks like an old barn, that they were sent out to. But in reality, your nativity scene is the only one I've ever seen that reflects historically the correct way that it was. Which, if you look at the translation of inn back to whatever the first language was, it's like the upper floor of the house, because these guys would live in these houses that had like an upper floor where the people would be, where it was up, the hot air would rise, it would be warm, there would be no shit on the ground because the animals were on the bottom and the people would be on the top where there's no shit, right? And then so Jesus was born during the census, right? You remember that? The census? And so Joseph Joseph and Mary had to go to like Joseph's family's house. And so the inn where all the relatives,
Bethlehem.
Yeah, and the inn where all the people, the family were staying, it was a busy place. Everybody was there for the census, so it was full of family members. So if your wife's going to go, spit a human out of her vagina, you don't do it in front of all your relatives you just met, You say, like, why don't you go down there to this downstairs with the animals, and you can have some privacy, And probably Joseph stayed up top, and a bunch of Jewish women went down with Mary. And also, the afterbirth, it's better if it's in straw and sawdust than if it's in my fucking kitchen floor, right? So go down there, right? Probably a lot of people had babies in the downstairs part, like in that sort of thing, because it was just it's like you don't want to in front of everybody. You don't have a baby. It's more of a private thing to do back
That's
in the
right.
day, right? Anyways, that's a little Bible stories from Pete because, and you have the one thing. It's the only nativity scene I've ever seen that has that setup, where the Jesus in the
I
bottom.
like it. I'll
Anyway,
tweet it out so everyone can know what they're talking about.
so you and I like to
Is
go to
that a thing? Tweet it out.
yeah, you and I like to go to concerts, and we were talking about the Gorillas, and
Yes.
so me and you did decide to maintain the tradition of going to concerts together, and we actually furthered the tradition by going to a concert with both of our kids, which we've done in the past too,
Yeah.
and but our kids are both into this concert as well, and both of my daughters watched today.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we had a few. 3 out of 4 of mine watched it.
Yeah, they like because there's so much to like because they're into animation, they're into the so Gorillaz did this concert, and so Dave, you gave me the opportunity to watch it with you. We signed up and we were watching it, and I thought Gorillaz, what a good band. If I'm gonna pay for a ticket, I'd pay for Gorillaz because they're multimedia, like
Yeah.
because they have so many different facets to the work that they're doing. It's like not just the music. I thought this could be a really, if they wanted to take this and run with it, it could be really cool. And then it started and it gave you the live feel. Did you find? I found that it gave me the live feel
Yeah.
because you could see between songs they were setting up the next song because they would do little things into the camera and stuff like that, and you knew that it was live,
Yeah.
which made you feel like you were watching an experience. And then they incorporated like the animation. They had hologram back.
Yeah.
Then they had
Hologram back was pretty awesome.
then they had like is his name Robert Smith from The Cure? The Cure guy.
Yes, Robert Smith. He did the opener, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, he sounded great actually. He sounded just
Yeah.
like it sounded like the old Cure, like really killed it.
Yeah. That's the other really cool thing about the Gorillas is they're they span different genres. A lot of it now is hip hoppy, and they do have a lot of rappers that collaborate with them, but they're not pegged down to one genre for sure. So
Yeah.
that makes the concert interesting too.
Yeah, it's very collaborative, and you don't know what they're going to do. And even they took some old songs, like they did that from other albums, and they really reworked them. Like they made the one into spoken word. Remember
Yeah.
that actor that
Yeah.
came out and did the spoken word thing or whatever?
Yeah. That was cool. Yeah.
So, anyways, I give it like a high review. Like I really enjoyed it. I thought
We needed it. I felt like I needed it. So I think that skews my rating a bit, but I also gave it a high review. Like I thought it was awesome.
yeah, it was well done.
I didn't want it to be over.
Yeah, I did feel though the same way I feel at a lot of concerts where you know how you like it and you're enjoying it, but you still are like at about like 45 minutes or whatever, you're kind of losing interest. You know what I mean? And it's
You're
going
looking at
on.
your watch, like how long is it?
Yeah, you're thinking about
songs.
other things that you thought about or like you saw on the internet or something like that. Your mind's drifting, and you no longer think it's as cool as you did at the beginning. That's how that happened to me, kind of like partway through the show. I think because they started getting more into hip hop and I didn't recognize anything and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But
They played a lot of stuff off the new album too, so the first half of the show at least was like not super recognizable. Some of the songs.
yeah, I like a couple of those songs off the new album though. I like the Beck song and I like that Robert Smith song, and they're both really good.
Yeah.
I listened to them since then too. But as it goes though, like to use them, like if you're going to be limited where you don't get to have the feel of a huge crowd, if you're going to be limited to not have, then then you have to. I think you have to kind of replace it with the other stuff that you have around you.
100%. One thing that made me like it almost more than being at a show was they brought you right onto the stage with them. The different camera angles on the stage and stuff, and the way I felt was like that I was almost there with them as they moved across stage.
Yeah.
and all the different angles instead of just watching it on the screen. But what I did miss was that like sense of community that you have when there's thousands of screaming fans all around you and everyone's singing. Like,
Yeah.
that's another great part of going to a live show, you know. So it'll be
Also,
nice to get that back.
also people watching, you know, people watching.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's the best.
even just regular life, you know, like it's hard. You can go people watching at like the grocery store or Walmart or something like that. You know, it's okay. But you know, when you go to an event, people are excited. They're gonna act stupid. People they get excited. They do stupid things. It makes for some of the most ridiculous behavior you're ever gonna see. It's just it's so good. You know, I miss it. You know, I like going to you'll notice a lot of times when we go to places, I won't say too much, but I'm just like looking at everything, you know, trying to take it in, so that when I tell the story of what I saw, you know, that I know that I'm telling it right, you know what I mean, like, or at least getting the best out of it, because like it's just like that's what I just don't. There's nothing it seems stifling to just have a small viewpoint of the world, you know. I want to see.
Sure.
I want to see other people's way of looking at things, even when it's ridiculous. It's fun. That's hilarious to me.
And we also love meeting new people at all those events, like going out to the smokers pit or whatever, and just picking somebody to go say hi to and just see what the hell this crazy person's all about.
Yeah, remember when I did the push up? I had the push up contest with that homeless guy in Atlanta.
Remember, I got it on video. It's one of my favorite times ever.
That's the thing. Well, the Barbie Mansion girls want to travel with us again now that we're like teetotalers. But I
would say probably not. I'd say unless we're keeping up with them pounding booze.
So we have to. Do we have to lie to them?
We'll have to pull a Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. We'll still buy the drink. We'll just pretend we drink them, but we'll just keep stashing them. Yeah, that's what we'll do. It ties around with Frank Sinatra.
They'll never catch on.
Oh, let's end this. We've been talking for a while, Dave?
Oh yeah, over an hour for sure.
And we got a little bit of mess up there, but I had one more piece of feedback from last week, and it was that we never finished the strip club story that I started, and so for those of you who are regular listeners of this program and who wondered what happened to the strip club story, I have to finish it to end the show. Okay, so we're going to finish the strip club story to end the show. So for those of you who didn't listen to last week's show, I'm going to have to just give you a recap. This is like at the beginning of The Mandalorian, where they recap.
Did you say Mandalorian?
Yeah, Mandalorian, yeah.
Are you watching it?
Yeah, I am, yeah. I'm on season 2. What?
Tomorrow night, the last episode of season 2 comes out.
Oh, really? I don't think I'm still a little bit behind it, but it's good. I'm into it as much as I can be into Star Wars. You know, I'm still out on a few things, but for most of it, I like it. Anyway, so on last week's episode, this was where I got to in the strip club story. I explained to the audience that I had a friend who was a bit of a mild-mannered individual who is at one of our local strip clubs, which does no longer exist. They've both been torn to the ground and rebuilt. Gatsby's. We're at the Great Gatsby's in Simcoe, Ontario, and
AKA the Gash.
The Gash. And my friend, being a mild-mannered individual, was minding his own business, and he was playing a game of billiards. You know, kind of back to the stage, only half paying attention to the girl on the stage. Now, this is where I explain to the audience that, you know, this isn't a high-class strip club. This is the small-town strip club. There's a lot of rough girls that are a little rough around the edges, you know. There's a few cesarean scars. There's a few bullet wounds. There's a few horrible things you're going to see that you can't unsee ever again, you know. You're not necessarily going for the erection here. You're more going for the train wreck. You know, this is not
it's like going to see the circus.
Yeah. So I got to that point, and then we started talking about first song, second song, third song, and what girls do in each of the songs. And then I forgot to end the story about my mild-mannered friend who's playing a game of billiards over there, you know? So my friend's playing a game of billiards. There's a lady dancing on the stage, and she gets to third song. Third song means you take off the bottoms. So when the girl took off her bottoms, the music's playing. I don't know what it is. The music's playing, and so my friend has a look
It
at this.
tossed the fleece blanket in the air in such a fashion that it landed perfectly flat,
Yeah.
spinning on the stage.
And then she managed to look over at the stage and catch this girl in such a light that he saw that her rectum, like her anus maybe, looked prolapsed. It looked like she might have had some sort of ailment that caused her bumhole to be on the outside of her body and not inside of her body. And then my friend commented to those at the around the billiards table, trying to shout over the music a little bit so that we could hear. But just as he did, the music cut quiet, and the entire bar just heard somebody somebody tell this girl to tuck her asshole back in. Were you there for that one?
I've heard the story so many times. I don't know. I feel like I was there.
You could have heard a pin drop, man. You couldn't hear anything but this guy saying somebody could tell her to tuck her asshole back in. The girl heard it. She picked up her tiger blanket and got the fuck off the stage. She had to go thumb back in that pink sock. Looks like something got loose again. Where my asshole wiggled out. That's a true story. Eh? I brought my wife to that strip club one time because they had Daytona USA. Like they had the race car game, Daytona USA. You used to
play head to head.
Yeah, you play head to head. They had it at my university that I went to, and my wife and I got to playing it at the bar at my university, and we liked it. So I was like, they got one at home, And they go, where is it? And I go, it's at the strip club. Let's do it. We were on a date, so I brought her into the strip club, and she saw a lady on stage that was like, she looked like Carla from Cheers,
Cheers.
Yeah, Rhea Perlman. But she was
same haircut.
Same haircut for sure, but she had what looked like at first glance she might look pregnant, but then you realize, oh, it's just a distended belly of some sort, like probably a oversized liver or something that had made the whole middle part of her body loose, and a clear cesarean scar, and then and she was not in great shape. She was a little Goodyear tiresy, And my I remember my girlfriend at the time. She
sounds like a nice date.
I go right to the car machine because I know don't look at the stage. You never look at the stage, There's nothing good up there. You just go to the car game, Like it's going to be a horror show if you look up there. And then what I always want to do though is just take one. They had a one of those carousels with wiener on it, with the hot dogs on it.
Oh man, just the hot dogs spinning around all day.
Yeah. At a strip. I never had the guts to do this, but I always wanted to take one of those strip club hot dogs and just put it in my mouth and lie on the stage. That's like you do for a tip. That's what I never had the courage, but I always thought, because the courage was to put that hot dog in my mouth because I knew I would get sick.
It's been there for 3 years.
Yeah. And then the other thing would be to have some hepatitis-ridden stripper like jump on the hot dog that's in my mouth,
Twofold.
Yeah.
The fear is twofold.
Again, it's nothing. Yeah, the fear is twofold. Anyways, guys, that has been our program for this week. I would like to thank my friend Dave Charters, the man that rates the music for the show, for coming in. Thanks, Dave.
Good to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to have you virtually in the hall. Guys, if you'd like to give me a piece of feedback, if you'd like to reach out to me at livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com, or you can go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, and give me a piece of feedback. And keep an eye out for an email that say that our betterhelp.com/Dutch Hall link is up and operational. And if you're in need of help, please go get some. And thank you to BetterHelp for joining the Dutch Hall team. We're looking forward to our partnership with you. Until next week, I don't know who we're having on, but we will be on next week, and maybe even before that. Keep posted. Until next week, Dave, we'll see you, NT. See you next Thursday.
See you, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Good seeing your face. All right, buddy. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Good to see you, pal.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Take care.
Yeah, give my best to your
Call soon, eh?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, we'll talk. I owe you money for that show too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let me know.
Pay me back.
I'll e-transfer it to you.
No. I want you to pay me in person next time we go out somewhere.
Okay. All right. Deal. All right. Take it easy.
Yeah.